Hello everybody, Xword64 back again today with another Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe video. This will be my final video before the game releases, which as of recording is only a week away from launch. So when I manage to get my hands on the game, expect a ton more videos covering the ins and outs of it all. So make sure to subscribe if you're interested. Now cutting to the chase, today's video will be a breakdown of the brand new game mode MAGOLOR Epilogue, as well as a quick run through of the new demo and the brand new overview trailer. This video would have been out way sooner than now, but university has been getting the best of me as of late, plus I wanted to wait for the English overview trailer to launch just in case there was any other little extra bits of info to find. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Obvious spoilers for Return to Dreamland and other games ahead, but I'll put up a warning just in case. MAGOLOR Epilogue. So, funnily enough, this game mode was leaked back in January, as presumably a picture of the back of the game's box art was posted to Reddit depicting brief details about the game mode, alongside a new rendition of MAGOLOR. Originally I was going to avoid talking about this and just save it until launch, but to my surprise, they actually revealed this game mode during the most recent Nintendo Direct presentation, making it official. This was one of my most requested features to appear in the remake, being a playable version of MAGOLOR, so needless to say I'm excited for this. Also, thank you all for the reception on the latest video, just wanted to say that right quick. Gonna give a small spoiler warning here before I dive into this, as I'll be discussing the ending of the main game's story. Taking the description from the eShop and the Kirby Wiki, love you guys. Alone in a strange dimension, and without his powers, MAGOLOR must platform through challenging stages and defeat enemies. MAGOLOR Epilogue is an extra game mode that's unlocked after you complete story mode. You play as MAGOLOR, who has been banished deep within another dimension. Throughout this adventure, MAGOLOR can defeat enemies to gain magic points and fruit fragments, which he can then use to upgrade his abilities, similar to a skill tree. Along the way, MAGOLOR will travel through more than 20 stages and fight different variants of bosses from the main mode, which I'll cover later. The way I see this game mode playing out is somewhat similar to how Xenoblade Future Connected begins. I'm not going to dive into spoilers for that game here, as it's a lengthy JRPG. However, Future Connected serves as an epilogue to the main game's story, and it opens up with a flashback of the game's final boss that then links up with the beginning of Future Connected. This gives players extra context and sets the scene for the epilogue, and I think MAGOLOR Epilogue will do the exact same approach. In the opening cutscene of this game mode, I can imagine we witness the events of the final boss, Kirby slaying MAGOLOR's soul form, and him either vanishing into the air like the original game, or a portal opening up, absorbing his corpse in the process. From there, the screen will fade to black as we see this scene take place. MAGOLOR is both metaphorically and literally going to hell, becoming a husk of his former self, and also like atoning for his sins, practically. The music that plays here in the trailer, and what will most likely play in the opening cutscene, is a slowed rendition of Each to His Own World, one of my favorite tracks in the game. So that only emphasizes this point further. The game will begin in an area called the Arrowgreed Dimension, and will serve as the game's tutorial and hub area. According to the wiki, there will be 5 areas and 20 stages total, making for 5 stages per area, one of them being a boss stage. Since MAGOLOR has lost all of his magical powers, thanks to Kirby, well, slaughtering him, he now only has access to a basic hover and standard attack move. Over the course of this game mode, you will acquire magic points, which are earned by defeating enemies or finding them in various places in said stages. Additional magic points may be earned by scoring combos on enemies, so chaining attacks together, though the exact way this is determined is not yet known. Once MAGOLOR gains enough magic points, he can enter a submenu called MAGOLOR's Magic Skills to spend these magic points to upgrade his abilities. Like I said prior, it's similar to a skill tree from an RPG. If he wants to learn new skills and attacks, he'll need to find fruit fragments scattered across the realms. These are presumably collected from bosses in a similar way to the ship's parts of the lore Starcutter in the base game. And speaking of bosses, this game mode features revamped versions of already existing bosses from the base game. And I'm not talking about EX mode bosses, I'm talking about remixed original bosses with a fresh coat of paint. So far we've only heard of 4 bosses: Hydriath, an aquatic version of Goliath, a fiery version of Fatty Puffer, an electric version of Mr. Duder, and lastly, a group of 4 sphere doomers who carry fruit fragments. I can imagine we'll see the alternate versions of Wispy Woods and Grandoomer 2, as they are the last two bosses from the first 5 worlds to be shown off. Two major questions stem from these bosses that make me speculate. 1. Will these bosses be included in the true arena, or another new arena? And 2. Who will be the final boss? Most times in an extra game mode as such, the bosses will appear in the true arena. In Superstar Ultra, all the exclusive bosses from the new game modes appeared in that version's true arena, and the same goes for the games that follow. I know Return to Dreamland's true arena already has every EX boss, plus 3 secret bosses exclusive to the true arena, making it pretty stacked as is already. So maybe we'll see these 5 bosses in this version's true arena as like the Nightmare 5 or something like that, I don't know. That's a naming scheme they've done in the past, so maybe they'll do it here. As for the final boss, I think it'll be Morphonet. Mr. Morpho has made 2 canonical appearances in the series, absorbing Galactonite in Star Allies, and absorbing Fecto Soul in Forgotten Land. I expected Morpho to show up in this game's true arena long before Magolor Epilogue was leaked, so I think it would only make the most sense to see him here. But the question remains, how will he appear? He's absorbed 2 very powerful beings in the past, meaning Galactonite may not even appear in this remake, which I'll be quite sad about. But what exactly will he absorb this time in order to show up? I've seen some speculate the Master Crown itself, but that was destroyed in the final fight, so I don't think it could be that. Maybe this game mode's version of Grandoomer, or even Landia maybe? It's kinda hard to tell, but I do think that he'll be the final boss of this game mode no matter what. It only makes sense for him to show up, and if he doesn't, then he'll most likely be in the true arena, as they kinda like to shoehorn him in for the very last boss, especially as of late. Either way, that concludes the breakdown of Magolor Epilogue, a game mode I'm really looking forward to play through. Now we can move on to the overview trailer and the demo. Now, sadly, after scanning through both the Japanese and English overview trailers 2 or 3 times, I can't really find anything out of the ordinary or any new information we haven't heard already. It's mostly just a recap of every available game mode, which we've already heard enough about in depth, or I've at least talked about in depth on this channel. I was able to dig up 2 things, however. One is that there are a couple more masks revealed in this trailer. Even though the whole list has already been datamined, thanks to the demo, I'm not going to talk about them here, but if you want to find them, I'll link them in the description. They're really not hard to find. And the last thing is that the challenge room section of the Star Cutter has been expanded to now include challenge rooms for both Sand and Mecha, bringing the total up to 9. Moving on to the recently released demo, after watching the full opening cutscene in all of its glory, we're given access to spliced up areas from 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, and 2-1 over 2 stages, along with being able to fight Wispy Woods and Wispy Woods EX. In these levels, you're able to play with Beam, Cutter, Fire, Leaf, Sleep, for some reason, Sword, Water, Whip, Monster Flame, Ultra Sword, and, to my surprise, Sand. Fighter, High Jump, Ninja, and Tornado become available after you complete all the stages as well. Overall, the game feels so smooth compared to the original, and that might just be me, but the game just controls it feels leagues better to play. Copy abilities almost seem to come out faster. Fighter, for some reason, seems better than the original, but I may just not be used to Fighters 2 or Star Allies Fighter. Not claiming the moveset is any different, I'm just praising this game's engine as it's very polished. Also, getting to try out Sand early was a treat. I can understand not having Mecha present in the demo, as it seems that Mecha is being used as a major marketing tool for the game. They're advertising it quite a lot, so leaving it out of the demo just makes sense. You're also able to try out Ninja Dojo and Booming Blasters in Merry Magoland, and they're actually pretty enjoyable. I could easily see these sub-games being a good replacement for playing games like Mario Party or Mario Kart at parties, but that can be said for the game as a whole. It's a multiplayer game at heart, and it'll be a blast to play at parties regardless if you're playing through story mode, sub-games, or whatever the case may be with 4 players. After defeating Wispy Woods, we're presented with a final demo video showcasing other features that will be available in the full version of the game. With only a week out from release, I hope that I've convinced you to purchase this game over the course of these past 4 videos, or even to at least try out the demo. As I stated in the beginning, this will be my final video before the game comes out, as I think we know pretty much everything there is to know about this game. So there's no need to make any more videos until then. I'll be uploading multiple videos on the game once it releases too, so if you're interested in seeing that, then feel free to subscribe. Your reception on these past couple of videos has meant a hell of a lot, so I'll continue to make these videos on Kirby, as not only do I enjoy making them, I know that other people will watch them as well. So it's a nice little feedback loop. So to end off, thank you all for watching once again. My next video will be soon after the game releases, so stay tuned until then, and with that, this is Xoid64, signing off.